It is Inside the 12. He is Baylor great, the Big 12 baller, King McClure. I'm Pete Souza. We hope you had a very Merry Christmas. King, did you have a good holiday?
I had a great holiday. Spend time with family is nothing better than that, Pete.
There is nothing better than that. We can only add a little bit on the back end. We're talking about some Big 12 hoops. Today we continue to get you ready for the start of conference play with some of these men's teams. Last week, we hit all the top contenders. We're talking about Iowa State, Kansas, Houston, Cincinnati, Baylor, and Texas Tech. King, how you feeling about that list?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty solid list. I think that today's list might be even more interesting.
It just might be more interesting. This week, it is all about surprise teams and others who are looking for some answers. We're going to start things off with the list that we call, you see the first three teams on your screen, Don't Be Surprised If. That's right, West Virginia, Arizona State, and BYU. Each of these teams could find their way into the AP poll or upset higher-ranked teams, and they all have plans on making the big dance. Let's start with West Virginia. Last year, this team was last in the Big 12, right? 9-23 overall. 11 players from the team are gone. First-year coach Darian DeVries had to rebuild through the transfer portal. He got Javon Small from Oklahoma State. And, of course, he brought his son with him. You can't beat that, Tucker DeVries, who you say is a top player in the league.
For sure. He is one of the best players in the Big 12. And I think he has no doubt in my mind that he will play in the NBA. I think what I've been so impressed with, early on, it's hard to go to a school like West Virginia and to be able to have success. But I think Darian DeVries is no stranger to success. He had it at Drake. He brought his son with him who's seen success. And now his son is going to be, oh my goodness, that dunk was nasty. His son is going to be one of the best players, not only in the Big 12, but in the country. They had the big win against Gonzaga. Javon Small is playing at an All-American level, averaging 20 points per game, top 25 in the whole nation in scoring. Tucker DeVries, his ability to shoot the ball at 6'7", plays the right way, amazing feel. You talk about a guy like him, who is a future NBA player, and pair him up with an elite scorer like Javon Small, who we saw do the same thing at Oklahoma State, just with not as good players around him.
Well, and we saw they beat Gonzaga earlier this year.
It's a big-time win.
Yeah, and there's nothing harder when West Virginia has it going than to go play in Morgantown.
That's an extremely hard place to play. I don't have great memories there, but it's okay, Pete, because at the end of the day, you are absolutely right. When that place is rocking, when they are good, those fans get involved. Man, top 5 atmosphere in all of the Big 12.
All right, let's take a look forward now. They play December 31st at Kansas, January 15th at Houston, then January 18th versus Iowa State. They don't have it easy to start the conference season at all.
They don't.
We're going to go to Arizona State now. A solid start for the Sun Devils, who were 14-18 last year. They lost nearly a dozen players in the offseason, including guard Frankie Collins. He's over at TCU. But Coach Bobby Curley has brought in huge additions, transfers, and freshmen, King.
What I've been most impressed with is the young fellas, the new guys, the freshmen that he has brought in. Austin Mason, first off, as a point guard, I saw him at Oklahoma, and to see him now is extremely cool because that young man is taking it to the next level, and he has really grown in his game. But back to the freshman, the way Jason Sanan shoots the ball from deep, over a 50% clip, so mature with his game, uses his body to create separation. He is an elite scorer, a guy that should be on your all Big 12 watch list. And then Jaden Quainitz. One of the highest rated players to ever come to Arizona State. His ability to impact the game, not just offensively, but defensively, is special. This young man, no doubt in my mind, will be in the NBA, and he doesn't do it with his scoring. His physical ability, his athleticism, his defensive impact, can guard 1 through 5. Jason Sanan, Jaden Quainitz, be on the lookout for those guys in this year's upcoming draft.
Don't be surprised if, right? All right, let's take a look now. Their schedule starts December 31st at BYU. That's 4 p.m. on ESPN2. Big test on January 8th. At Kansas,
yeah,
that'll be 9 p.m. on ESPN.
Tough one.
A real tough one. All right, we rounded out with BYU, the Cougars out in Provo. This was a tournament team last season under 23. They went 23-11 under Mark Pope. Coach Pope went to Kentucky, and he took with him leading scorer Jackson Robinson. Kevin Young takes over, and you feel like he hasn't missed a beat with this team.
Yeah, well, one thing, when you talk to anybody that knows Kevin Young or has been around him, they say he has one of the best basketball minds that you will see. He has coached players like a Kevin Durant, like Bradley Beal, like Devin Booker. He is absolutely, when it comes to basketball minds, phenomenal. One of the best in the country. He has all of the fans in Provo absolutely excited. Absolutely. I don't know what they did, but he is absolutely excited. And he has two young guys. We talk about Arizona State and their young guys. Well, these two might be just as impressive in Cannon Catchings and Igor Denham. I mean, both of these guys are about 6'9", extremely long, extremely versatile. Denham, his ability to pass, make teammates better. It's almost Luka reminiscent. He's a foreigner, plays at a really good pace, right? He's 6'9", Pete, dribbling the ball against guards, can see over a defense. Cannon Catchings, a wing who can shoot it, who can put on the floor a little bit, who can defend multiple positions. I mean, this team right here, with these two freshmen, they're going to be a problem.
Well, you mentioned,
and they're two pros.
You mentioned, by the way, the pro game, right? And you mentioned Kevin Young and his affiliation with that. How attractive is that to young players?
Well, you just saw who they got, Pete. You saw they just got A.J. DeBanster. So when you look at what Igor Denham is going to wear, he's going to go in the draft, where Cannon Catchings will go. That's 2 first-rounders. Then you follow it up with A.J. DeBanster, who would probably be the #1 pick in not this year's draft, but the next year's draft. Listen, Kevin Young is doing something right. And if you're a BYU Cougar fan, if you are in Provo, you should be exhilarated right now.
Get me out to Provo. Get me one of those Cougar Tails pregame, right? Those things are so tasty, a sweet treat. You got to get one if you ever go out to Provo. All right, we got plenty more coming up on Inside the 12. We're going to talk Big 12 hoops and a trio of teams who have some maybe bigger questions to answer heading into Big 12 conference play. That is next on Inside the 12. Welcome back to Inside the 12's men's basketball conference play preview. Pete Souza alongside the Big 12 great King McClure. We've labeled our next group of teams TBD, to be determined. We got Arizona, Kansas State, and TCU. These are the teams right now that have more questions than answers, but the talent is certainly there. King, let's start with the Arizona Wildcats. Caleb Love is back. He was their top scorer from last year with over 18 a game, but the next 4 guys from that team are gone. Growth from Jaden Bradley and KJ Lewis. That is on the menu right now. Also some transfers. What do you like about this group?
Well, the fact that they have a plethora of guards in which are all capable of scoring. I mean, this was a team who is number 10 in the preseason AP top 25, but they've struggled to get to 500 this season. I have no doubt in my mind that Tommy Lloyd will be able to get these guys back to where they once were. But my biggest concern, Pete, is number 1, they only shoot 30% from the three-point line. You're not going to beat a lot of good teams with those numbers.
Can that turn around for them? Will it turn around?
100%. I think that they can, but the quality of shot has to be better. They don't necessarily have a true point guard. You look at Jaden Bradley, he's the closest thing to it. And I think at times he wants to be more of a scorer than a true point. And Caleb Love, we know what he has been since day one when he was in North Carolina. My man is looking to get buckets. He's not really looking to dish it off. So I think part of the reason why they are extremely inefficient from the three-point line is the fact that the quality of shot from beyond the arc isn't great due to their lack of a real, true point guard. But also, this brings us to What's Your Beef? Brought to you by Old Trapper Beef Jerky, right? All 5 of Arizona's losses are against teams with at least 9 wins. That includes ranked games against Duke, Oklahoma, and UCLA. They also lost to Wisconsin, who we've seen it jumped into the top 25. I think we need to pump our brakes a little bit because I think Caleb Love is a good player. He understands success. He's been in a national championship game. He knows what it takes to get there. No doubt in my mind, he can be that leader to get them back. Tommy Lloyd is a hell of a coach, one of the best coaches in all of college basketball. So for us to just rule them out and say that they're not the Arizona that they used to be, they're not the team we expect them to be, whoa, chill out a little bit, relax. Pump the brakes. They are okay. They will be fine. Just wait till conference play starts.
Yeah, and they will get things started December 30th against TCU. Then at Cincinnati on January 4th. That game will be 2:30 Eastern on ESPN2. All right, let's move on to more of our TBD squads right now. This is a guy you know very well, Jerome Tang in Manhattan, Kansas, and Kansas State. His first year with that squad, gangbusters. You know, last year an NIT appearance, And a lot of questions this year, like we mentioned. What do you expect from David Gasson and this Kansas State team?
And I think that's the tough part. I love David Gasson. I think he's a great player. But if David Gasson and Brendan Houston are your two leading scorers, I don't know how good you are in the Big 12. I expect a lot more out of Coleman Hawkins. He has another level he can get to. We saw what he did at Illinois. I think that we haven't seen the best from this young man, and he has to be better if they want to have success in the Big 12. Same with Doug McDaniels. I mean, he's been solid, but I still think there's another level that him and Coleman Hawkins can get to, and they have to get there.
Yeah, going to be very interesting, but we'll find out a little bit more about them. Their conference play tips off December 30th against Cincinnati. That game is at 7 p.m. on CBS Sports Network. Then in January, they just got a host of brutal games. So they will have to bear down early on in the season to kind of get through and be the most they can be, because you know Jerome Tang is going to get the most out of that team. Let's move now to Fort Worth. The final team we want to touch on right now in conference play is TCU. The Horned Frogs lost about 12 players from last year's NCAA tournament team. They're usually a pretty old team. Coach Jamie Dixon hits the transfer portal, gets Frankie Collins. He gets Taz White. Frankie Collins is out. That really hurts TCU going forward. But they got a bunch of young guys. You like this David Punch.
I love David Punch. I think that we continuously mention the word pro, and I don't use that word lightly. When I say that somebody's a pro, I really think that they're going to be in the NBA, and David Punch is a dude. Be on the lookout for him because he is going to make noise in the Big 12. My biggest concern for TCU, my biggest question, where does the scoring come from? Where is the other scoring going to come for TCU? You have guys like Reynolds, you have guys like Trezarian White, who has to take the next level. You have Wenzel. You need guys to step up and get buckets. I think too many times when you watch TCU, when you watch their games, they have a lot of close calls to teams they shouldn't be in the game with, right? But I think the ball gets stuck. It's stagnant. There's no movement. There's no flow on the offensive side. The offense just doesn't look great, and they need to find easier offense. Jamie Dixon is going to have to figure that out.
Yeah, get a look at the big fella, too, Uday. He's going to have to play big this year for them to play well. Now, conference play for the Horned Frogs tips off December 30th. They will be at Arizona, so we have some TBD right there, right against each other. That's going to be a big game. And then they also play Houston on January 6th, another big one. A lot of other teams off to a great start, including Colorado, UCF, and Utah. We will have more on those teams in the coming weeks. Time for a quick break. When we come back, Big 12 women's basketball analyst Ann O'Neill joins the show to give us her surprise teams for the season. Welcome back to Inside the 12. He's King McClure. I'm Pete Souza. Big 12 play for women's teams just got underway this past weekend. So joining us to break down some of the more surprising teams this season, lifelong Hooper and current ambassador and analyst for the Big 12 women's basketball, Ann O'Neill. Ann, what's happening?
Hey, great to be here with you guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you got it. It has been an exciting start to the season for the Kansas Jayhawks, and they're getting it done without star center Tiana Jackson. She graduated last year, drafted to the WNBA. How have they been able to reload and execute?
Well, there were a lot of questions around Kansas coming into the season, like, what are you going to do without a 6'5" rim protector? But Coach Brandon Schneider, he went into the portal and he moved his offense that was more post-dominated and decided to go with the guards because he has a superstar in Samaya Nichols. She is third in the Big 12 with over 21 points a game. And again, those transfers, Elle Evans, Brittany Harshaw, Sanaya Copeland, they are all filling it up. But guys, what's impressed me the most is that they've been in really close games and have found ways to win. So they're really clicking on all cylinders for the Jayhawks.
And you want to talk about surprises? Well, the Utes had an early coaching change this season after Lynn Roberts was hired by the WNBA's LA Sparks. How have they been able to adjust under Coach Gavin Peterson, who took over in late November?
Yeah, it was in the middle of the season, but Coach Gavin Peterson is a longtime associate head coach of Coach Roberts, so a lot of the players already were familiar with Coach Peterson, and guess what? He had 3 practices before he had one of his biggest wins when they upset number 3 Notre Dame in the Cayman Islands Classic. So everything's working well for the Utes. What else works well is they have Gianna Neepkins back after a really tough injury last year. She's one of the top shooters in in all of Big 12 Conference, averaging 17 points a game, but they have a balanced attack from all over. The Utes also have 4 1,000-point scorers. I love their offense and their defense. They're definitely a team I'm going to keep my eye on in Big 12 Conference play.
All right, a team we're already watching right now, Oklahoma State. They were picked to finish 11th in the preseason polls, but they find themselves among the top contenders in the conference. How have they made that transition?
Well, they've been so fun to watch. They are lighting it up from outside. They average over 88 points a game, so they're really filling it up. And you guys, you can't believe this. They've had 4 different players that have had 30-point games. So it's not just one person that's scoring. It's across the board. They also average over 18 assists per game. They've had a lot of team chemistry, and that might have been due to their off the court in the preseason because Coach J.C. Hoyt just had a baby and they were learning how to change diapers together. So a lot of great team family chemistry going on for the Cowgirls, and congratulations to Coach Hoyt on her new baby girl.
And you talk about learning. Well, there are a lot of new names and new faces learning the Big 12. Who are some of the newcomers making an impact already?
Oh, we have a long list, but we'll start with one that people might know is in Hailey Van Lith. She had incredible experience at top contenders in Louisville and LSU, but she went to TCU to play in a positionless basketball, and she's playing her best basketball because she can play that combo guard. She's a playmaker. She's averaging 19 points and over 6.5 assists, and she wanted to be able to play both positions where she's either bringing it up, leading the offense, or kicking to a teammate. Another one who was a huge splash for BYU is Delaney Gibbs. She's only a freshman from Canada, but she is one of the top in the nation for freshman points, 17 points per game, and really has the Cougars winning and on the right trajectory. So I could name a bunch of other ones across the board, but I'll leave you with those two because they've been impact players for their teams.
And I wish we had more time, but we got a little bit more. Now, before we let you go, 7 women's games are on the schedule for New Year's Day. All conference games. Give us the game to watch.
Okay, well, I'll give you one for New Year's Eve because I know you want to be watching women's basketball, and that is a matchup from the old Pac-12, and that is Utah and Arizona. So that's on December 31st. And you mentioned New Year's Day, no better way to celebrate. And one that I have my eyes on is BYU at Cincinnati. Both teams who were picked lower in the Big 12, but playing great team basketball. Their coaches have them going, and somebody that can really make a difference in Big 12 play. So I'm excited, you guys. I can't wait to kick off the new year with the Big 12 hoops.
We got teams to watch, we got players to watch, and now we have analysts like you to watch. And thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, we look forward to having you back on throughout the season to get your insights. Happy holiday season to you once again. Of course, wishing you a happy new year.
Holiday and hoop season, what's better than that? Thanks for having me on, guys. I'll see you soon.
We have to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere. King and I will be back to give you our all Big 12 team heading into conference play when Inside the 12 returns. It is Inside the 12. He's King McClure. I am Pete Souza, and we are just days away from the start of the Big 12 men's college basketball conference slate. So before we get that set to start on Monday, we wanted to put together our picks of who we will think will make the all Big 12 tournament team or the all Big 12 team at the end of the year. All right, we're going to start off with Hunter Dickinson. He's on everybody's list, right? I'm starting to get the feeling I'm a little older than you, but a little. Christian Laettner, right? I'm feeling like Hunter Dickinson is getting some of that Christian Laettner hate because he's so effective, right? And he is kind of nasty and gritty. And you're starting to see that right now. Give me the real on his game.
I think that he provides a layer of offense in which when he's almost called like a bailout guy, right? When you're struggling to really get something going and you need to get an easy, you know who to give the ball to. That's Hunter Dickinson. His versatility, not just inside the arc, but inside the paint, but outside from beyond the arc, being able to step out and shoot the three. I think he's added that onto his game and has gotten a lot better in that area. I think his size, when he gets low post position, he's extremely hard to guard. He puts a level of fear in the other team's hearts because you always have to be, you have to take into account where he is at all times on the floor because he can do multiple things. And his passing has also gotten a lot better too.
How about Kashawn Gilbert? He can get buckets from anywhere on the floor.
Well, he knows who he is, and he knows he's not a shooter, but he's more than capable of shooting. He knows that he is a downhill driver. During the game against when they played against Marquette in a top 10 matchup, one thing I was impressed with is he can get to his spot. He's one of the fastest players in all the Big 12. But in that game against Marquette, the one thing that I did see was his ability to be able to come off a pick and roll, knock it down from deep, and it looked good. It looked confident. So if he can add that layer to his game, not only as a driver, but also a three-point shooter, oh, that young man is going to be dangerous. He can also pass. Let's throw his passing and his defense to the mix. He's an absolute dog.
Yeah, 16 points a game, over 5 assists, 1.5 steals. It's a guy, I love how you said this about Dickerson. He's another guy. You got to know where he is on the floor. LJ Cryer, starting his second year at Houston. We know the kid can score, the man can score from anywhere. I mean, especially deep. His defense has gotten better, too, playing under Kelvin Sampson.
I mean, you have no choice but to. Being in a Houston practice, playing with that madman, Kelvin Sampson, one of the best coaches in all of college basketball, you know what he expects from you, and LJ Cryer has risen to the occasion. I think last year, how they lost in the fashion that they did, he wasn't pleased with that. So now it's almost like the revenge tour. So now we got to get back to where we were, but we got to exceed those expectations and take it a step further. And I think that LJ Cryer can do that. I mean, his shot from deep is looking good. His ability to be able to get into the lane this year, I think, is improved. He has a nice floater. He's improved his on-ball skills, shot creation. I would like to see him become a little bit of a better passer. But overall, I think this young man is going to have a big season, especially in Big 12 play.
All right, we're running short on time, so we got to be quick with these last two. JT Toppin. Why is he so good?
Double machine, absolute dog. At all times, he is going to insert himself in the game, and he does need a play called for him. He can get the offensive rebound. On defense, he can get it done. He will get a double-double regardless if you're throwing it to him or not. He just is an ultimate winner and ultimate competitor. One
of the most effective guys right now in the Big 12. Another guy who is extremely effective, Norchad Omier, coming over from Miami to Baylor, a double-double every night.
Yeah, you want to talk about another double-double guy. I think these two guys are very similar, but it looks different. Right? JT Toppin is more above the rim. He's more of an athlete. Norchad Omier is more, I'm going to get low post position by boxing you up, by hitting you with my body. Stronger physical frame, gets really good inside position on you because he has very, very thick legs, and he can move you out the way. So he's always getting inside post position, which makes it extremely tough, but he's an ultimate winner. Led Miami to the Final Four in a year which they shouldn't have been there, but he was the leader. He was an absolute alpha, and he does the same thing for his Baylor team, and I think that he's going to have a dominant season in the Big 12 first year.
Oh, so exciting. A huge week ahead for the Big 12. Not only does conference play tip off on the basketball court, bowl games are in full swing starting tomorrow. Texas Tech taking on Arkansas at 7 o'clock. 4 games this weekend, and highlighted by BYU and Colorado. We've been waiting for that one. We finally get it. That is on Saturday night. And, of course, on New Year's Day, Arizona State continues their run for a national championship.
Yeah, I cannot wait for that one. Hoping to see my man Cam Scatterboo run all over the Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
All right, best of luck to the Sun Devils. Exciting Big 12 action at every turn, and we hope you enjoy it. For King McClure, I am Pete Souza. Happy New Year to all of you, and we will see you next time on Inside the 12.